Hello, and welcome to the Build Your Own Band podcast, the podcast made for independent artists and musicians who want to grow their band in an organic, purposeful, and self-determined manner. I am your host, Vince Silveri, and welcome to episode 3. I love today's episode, and I love today's guest, and we'll get into that in just a minute, but I just want to thank everybody for checking out the last episode with my good pal, Davis Maxwell, producer, mixer, engineer. A lot of great reception on that episode, which I appreciate everybody who listened to it, left a comment, DM'd me and gave me their feedback. It seems like it's been pretty helpful for bands who are looking to get into the studio or maybe have had a past studio experience that was less favorable or they didn't feel prepared for. So I'm super happy that that episode is useful for everybody listening. Another thing that I launched on that last episode was my demo template. If you don't know what the demo template is, it is more or less a songwriting template that I've created for 5 major DAWs: Pro Tools, Logic, Reaper, Ableton, and GarageBand. And essentially, it's just a plug-and-play songwriting template in which you can open it up in your DAW, plug in your microphone, plug in your guitar with DI, program your drums, and just start recording. And you'll have an awesome, borderline professional sounding song by the end of the process. The template was created by me. It was mixed by me, so you don't need to touch anything, not even a fader. If you're curious to check out the demo template, you can go to my website, vincesilveri.com/template. to download it for free. The template is made with all free and stock plugins, so you don't have to spend a penny to get started. And if you want more information on what that is, there's a video linked on that page that is a full breakdown of the demo template and how to use it. I've received a bunch of DMs from a bunch of bands that have already started using it, and I've gotten multiple responses from a bunch of different bands how this demo template has improved their songwriting workflow and makes it so easy to just get an idea out into the world. I've gotten responses from a lot of people that they love the simplicity of the template and the user-friendliness of it. They love that you could just pick up a guitar, play a riff, get it down, and think, oh, I have a bass riff or I have a vocal idea, and just switch that instrument, record input, and start playing that part. It takes a ton of the technical thinking away from songwriting and just allows you to create. So once again, if you're interested in checking out and downloading the demo template, go to my website, vincesilveri.com/template, and download it for free. But we're here to introduce today's guest, which is Adam Bentley of Auteur Reattach, who is a music marketer and PR person, and he does a ton of things. That varies from PR to label services to playlist placement to radio placement to planning the rollout of an album for a band and so much more. We get into all of that in this episode, and I'm really excited to share it with you. Adam has worked with so many bands, particularly some huge Canadian bands like the Arkells, Silverstein, the Dirty Nil, Lights, Big Wreck, Chad Van Galen, Snotty Nose Rez Kids, Kardinal Offishal, and so many more. He DM'd me a gigantic list of bands that he's worked with, and those are only a few. Adam is the real deal when it comes to music marketing, and I think this episode is absolutely crucial for independent bands to listen to know what to do with your music. You have music in your hands. What do you do with it? How do you get it into people's hands? How do you get people to listen to your band and become a fan? I love this episode. I'm so excited to share it. So without further ado, here's our episode with Adam. Mr. Adam Bentley, thank you for having me here at Tape, your lovely studio.
No, I'm glad you're finally here. I didn't realize you've never been here. Considering probably you and I are the people that have done the most with the Dirty Nil recording wise.
Yeah.
For you not to be here is kind of weird.
It's really lovely to be here. You have a terrific space. I've referred to it even today as the dream. I feel like if I had one of these close to where I live, I don't think I'd ever leave. And you've done a terrific job here.
I think you find pretty quickly that you find the balance.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a place of work a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were discussing this a little bit off camera, but this structure, I guess, technically didn't exist here before you built into it.
No, there was a garage here, and the idea is I looked out one day from my house and went, I've got all this stuff inside the house. What if I that cannot fit in there? What if I just use that garage, fix it up, and then that should be easy?
Yeah.
And quickly, city red tape got involved, and that wasn't possible.
Did they get involved, or did you do your due diligence and be like, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it the right way?
We went to the city, and they basically looked at what we had there and said, that's not possible. Can you prove that building was built before 1947?
Is that when
there's a bylaw?
Not to get into bylaw talk right off the bat, but is that when the bylaw
Welcome to Vince's podcast on bylaw in Hamilton region.
Bylaw.
So we went there, and then they ended up, figuring out what we could do, how big of a space we could have. And I was lucky, at Jordan Mitchell, who this is his space as well. And him and I, other than the framing and the electrical, our good friend Tristan Miller did that. But Jordan, the goat, Jordan Mitchell and I did basically everything else in here with my dad. And it took us a while. And it was kind of like for a bit, we would have like the inside done, but it was just like drywall and maybe not every wall was insulated the way we wanted it. And we do like a session, tear down, get all the building materials back in here, do that. And we did that for like 2 years and then finally got to a point where it's like, I think this is done. This is close enough.
I think it looks great.
Thanks, man.
And I know you're looking around here, looking at all the things of like, well, that needs to be done and that needs to be fixed. But like as a person that's just walking into the space for the first time, you've done an excellent job. And it's amazing how, because I've seen videos, especially like those live videos with the Nil that I've done here, like the master volume specific ones where like that wall of amps. I'm like, whoa, this place is huge. And I come in here and it's like a pretty big space, but way smaller than I thought it was. And I just thought it was like remarkable how even with a 3-piece band playing live off the floor, everybody can still have their own little corner. Like there is enough space to get it all done.
Yeah, so we never built this to record bands. That was never the purpose. It was for us to record ourselves, maybe do vocal work, some guitar work on the side. But it was never like, oh, we'll have a live band perform in the room together. It never felt large enough. And then it was a few people asked us, and quickly we realized drums sounded amazing in here.
Yeah.
And
as is often the case with tall ceilings. People
tall ceilings.
Can't see the tall ceilings, but what are these, like, 20 foot, 15?
This is only 14.
Yeah.
It's probably 13 with all the extra stuff, layers on the ceiling. But it's this wall that does the diffuser wall.
And did you put, sorry for the audio only listeners, but is this like piece by piece?
Piece by piece.
Like literally one, like almost like bricklaying, but with wood. How long did that take? Yeah.
Way too long.
Yeah. Well, it's well worth it. It's gorgeous. And I'm sure it does a lot of actual like functional sound.
The difference between what the room sounded like before we had this and as we were going up the wall was massive.
Right.
So that's worked out. Now, at this point, we were talking off camera. I don't want to record bands in here anymore because it basically takes over the space in such a all-encompassing way that you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
Like we did some live stuff here with the Nil that is bonkers. Right. We should have never done it. But like there was COVID restrictions and, okay, well they can do it with their camera person and I can come out here and press the record button, set up individually with people.
Yeah.
It was nutty trying to do it and then have them perform with full camera crew in here. There was like...
in the summer, right?
The one was in the summer.
Yeah.
There was this amount of room to make the camera work. Anything like if it had to move in that much more, couldn't film the band.
Wow.
That's how much leeway we had.
It was like a scientific measuring of where
it was exactly not that. I just remember Mitch being like, hey, we need to move the desk back right to the wall because it's out from the wall a little bit,
right.
Yeah. Don't have your speakers usually right against the wall. And it was like, just shove all of that there and then we can move the cameras back and I think we can do it.
Yeah.
It was a terrible experience for like, I think the band and for Mitch.
An enlightening experience as well to know what
the limitations are of the split.
Exactly.
Where when we had them just in around the room, that was totally cool and looked great and could sound great. Mm-hmm. We ended up being able to we used a couch that's over there that's the same as this, and I would put an amp on the couch when we would do live tracking.
Yeah.
And you could do that, have it facing over there, have the drums right where we are, have the bass over there, there'd be no bleed on the guitar.
Wow. That's impressive.
Like, I don't know how that's even possible.
Yeah.
That was years in the making. That was right around the time where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore though.
Right. Which is a perfect segue, contrary to the conversation thus far. Recording and engineering is not what you do primarily.
No.
What you do primarily is, and correct me if I'm wrong, you are a music publicist.
I don't consider myself a publicist, even though that's a component of what we do.
Right.
I consider myself a music marketer.
Right.
And more kind of a music strategist in getting music released.
Yeah.
It used to be like a band would give me a song and then I would go and send some blogs a song and that would be the end of the job. And now in 2025, it's incredibly more complex than that.
So your company, Auteur Reattach, on your website, if I can remember correctly, if I go to your Our Story, it's about one sentence and it just says in 2009, you were accidentally founded or something along those lines. How so? How did this all kind of get rolling?
So I was working in a recording studio.
Okay.
And Catherine North Studios in Hamilton.
Shout out Catherine North, gorgeous studio.
And I was studio managing the place for Dan Aiken at the time. Yeah. And Dan was the producer of my band. He said, we were starting to get a lot of press. The band was getting a lot of album reviews and, the blogs really liked us at the time. And I was doing it all myself. And he had a few artists that were trying to figure out how to put out their first music, EPs, whatever, and said, you should do this for other people. And I said, well, do what? He said, whatever you're doing for the band, just do it for them.
Right.
And do you think I'd be I never thought of this line of work.
Yeah. You were just doing it purely as I'm in a band and this is what you do when you're in a band.
Yeah. Just do whatever you can to get people to pay attention to you.
Yeah.
And he said, well, you got 300 pieces of press on your record. You probably know what you're doing. I went, okay. And I thought about that. I thought about, no one I know has been able to get their bands that press. So I started helping a few people at the studio. Those people told other people. Those people told other people. And that's how the business grew.
Just snowballed.
And that's still how it's operated.
Right.
Only in 2025, I was like, maybe I'll run a quick ad for the business or something, let people know that we're out there.
Yeah.
But as you see on our website, it's been if people tell you what I do and you like what you hear, then I'll talk to you. And if it's a good fit, we'll work together potentially.
Yeah.
And it can grow into, we talked about the Dirty Nil and I've been working with the Dirty Nil for 14 years now.
Long-standing relationship.
And sometimes I work one song with somebody and it's not a fit. But that way you find there's no one way of doing this in the industry, especially now. But I've been fortunate that it's just kind of through word of mouth. But it was 4 years in before I even thought it was what I was going to do.
Right. It was kind of all these things were kind of webbed together and one came after another. And then suddenly you're you look behind you and you're oh, I have this entire body of work that I've done in this industry.
And it was I need to hire somebody to work with me because there's too much work. I do this more than, 8 hours a day. I'm doing this 10 or 12 hours a day.
Right.
This is your life. This is what you do. You go out there. And at that point, it was really about getting online press.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of social media from day one. Actually, MySpace was one of the first things that people would also hire me for because I knew how to get people to follow you on MySpace and listen to your song. I had all these tactics.
That's an entire podcast in and of itself. It's talking about MySpace and how that affected the music industry.
It's wild. There is no equivalent to it today.
Yeah.
So that's what I did for a while, and then I did some stuff with Twitter, and now we do. So the company still does online press, still does work in that sphere, but we also do digital marketing. We're running ads on basically any platform that you can run ads, but mainly the social platforms, and label services, and that's the area that we've been growing, where we're taking kind of care of every aspect of a release cycle, and sometimes even a catalog cycle now.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the area we're going to move in more and more because it's becoming more and more complex in terms of releasing music and the things you have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not linear, and maybe it never was linear, but it feels the least linear it's ever been of releasing music. In the first episode, talked to Luke about basically starting up your band. Luke from the Dirty Nil. We talk about them constantly. Second episode, Davis Maxwell, another producer engineer, how to make your record. And the conversation that I'm so interested to have with you is okay, you have a record in your hands. You labored, if you're booking your project right, 3 to 4 weeks to make your LP.
Yep.
And now it's in your hands. What do you do with it? And especially in the digital age, how do you maximize the purpose of making a record? Because, you know, in my opinion, it's not just music. It's promotional material.
Yep.
And some people might, you know, reject that idea, and that's totally fine. But I kind of feel like the music is there to get people to come to your shows or pay attention to you in some sort of way. So
I think it's to build fans in some sort of way. And that's the end objective, is turning someone that might be a non-listener probably into a passive listener, into an active listener, into a fan.
Yeah.
And that road can be long. So somebody that's finished their record, depends where they're at. You know, a Dirty Nil has a different sort of probably strategy now that they would take, where they're this is their 5th record, 5th like proper full length,
something like that.
That'll probably come out.
Yeah,
next
5th. Oh God, I'm not even going to say that because I don't want to be told I'm wrong. Not 10, more than 4.
Yeah. But for a new band, you're looking at your a cycle, and the cycle used to be you'd get to the album and then you'd go work the album for a year. Mm-hmm. And now for me, the cycle is about the rollout, building as much energy from that rollout, and then whatever you have after that can continue the cycle. But you're not going to start things from scratch. You're not going to like release videos after the fact and those be the big moments in most cases. Now, everything that I'm going to say on this podcast is all just best practice.
Yeah.
You can do anything and anything can work. You can be the unicorn that doesn't have socials, that doesn't, you know, for 5 years, everybody wanted to be Frank Ocean. Everybody I talked to wanted to be, and I was like, I'm sorry, unless you're Frank Ocean, you probably can't be Frank Ocean.
Yeah.
It's the same way we're talking about, like, if you're Luke, you can play with 2 rats running through your effects channel. If you're not, you can't be, right? Like, there's just things that certain people have done, and that's them, and it's not you. For the most part, these best practices are going to give you the best chance to get your music heard.
Yeah.
And if I'm looking at somebody that's got an album, say they have a full-length album, stretch that as long as you can before you put that out, especially if you're a new project, because the second you put it out, and this is the biggest regret I get from artists now, is I wish I didn't put my album out so fast.
Right.
Because once you can't go back and put that album back into a bottle and make it fresh and new again. Mm-hmm. There's things that are happening when you have energy, like TikTok things, years and years. Like it's blowing up the Billboard charts. You have all these old songs that are now becoming huge songs.
Right.
Those projects, though, built a lot of energy usually beforehand, and then the energy grows organically. Or they're releasing other new things that don't relate to that thing, and then it boomerangs back.
Right.
Catalog is becoming like the new catchphrase that every kind of industry person is saying. Oh, you got this catalog. How do we work the catalog?
Can you define catalog?
Catalog is, you have like the Dirty Nil. You have 14, 15 albums, mm-hmm. and maybe even 16 albums now, the Dirty Nil. And yeah, you go back and you want to have attention put on those songs as well, or you're doing things to keep propping up the attention there. Because the second you're out of cycle, usually everybody's numbers on socials and streaming platforms, they start to crater.
Okay.
And it happens pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe you get a month at, a build after an album's out, but usually you're building into that album and then you're just starting to see diminishing results pretty quickly. And the best practice now is you release things every 6 to 8 weeks, which usually breaks, the second I tell artists that, down like, I will say younger artists, actually not that much.
Right.
I think they've been listening to music that way.
Yeah.
It's not as big of a deal, but I'll have somebody that's taken a break for 5 years and you tell them that. It seems pretty daunting to keep going.
Well, especially when, like, for most bands, if you're making an LP, which honestly on like an independent or local level, an LP is like a band's magnum opus. Like, transcending the LP is like, most bands don't even get there. But yeah, when you put so much work into creating 10 to 12 songs, if you're putting out more than 12 songs, that's an entire other conversation. But yeah, I feel like a lot of artists just have they're cradling this baby that is their record, and you have two different modes of thought. It's just you want people to hear it as soon as possible. You don't want to waste any time, and then the other thing is you're so scared to do anything wrong with it that you hold on to it forever.
And then you lose your excitement. And
yeah.
And that's why, for me, it's just like you start releasing songs. You start releasing singles. There's some people's opinions that you never go over half an album before you release it. Other people say you just release everything and then you collect it all into a bundle at the end.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of a more, I wouldn't say it's a standard practice, but becoming a more common practice to kind of, pepper in a few singles, quite a bit. I've seen bands release 5, 6 songs of their record before dropping the record, and which in my brain doesn't seem problematic at all, because if you have 10 songs, you still have 5 more on the record that people haven't heard before. In my opinion, that's like, there's still excitement, there's still something new to work in there. But I can understand for an artist on any level, how is it special to just give people 5 songs before they even have the opportunity to buy my record or stream or this and that. So in your opinion, what's your case for peppering in as many singles as possible before dropping the record?
I think it depends on that other factor, and that's artist energy and fan kind of tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a larger artist, fan tolerance seems to be lower for you just to be trickling out singles.
Right.
I often suggest you put out a song, you don't even mention the record.
Right.
You put out another song, you don't mention the record. Then maybe you mention the record. Record coming 3-4 months.
Yeah.
You release a song, then you release another song, and then you release an album that gets packaged with another single.
Right.
Right? Like, even when the big difference for me is when the album used to come out, everything was about the album. All the reviews were about the album, all the energy, everybody was talking about the album. Now, playlists, they add songs. So they're going to add one song. Press is going to talk about this one song that's off of this album, but then point to the one song.
Yeah.
It's all become, I like to say it's 1957 with computers, right? We're in a singles era.
Yeah.
If we've always potentially been in a singles era anyways, the albums have always been about the fans. I'm a huge album guy. You were in the house earlier.
I'm also a big album guy. I love a front to back listen.
Yeah. Usually your way into an artist is not being like, hey, I've never heard of this thing. Let me listen to 10 songs from this person I've never heard. And the way streaming works now is usually playlist ads or algorithmic playlist ads are fairly passive in listening. People need to hear the song maybe 8, 10, 12 times before they're even going to look at what they're listening to.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of, for me, every song you release gives another point of repetition of you and your profile and your aesthetic as an artist, where if you just release your album, you better have something else pretty quickly in most cases.
Yeah, people's attention span these days is pretty low, which is fine, just the way things are going. I'm not trying to get into a sociology type conversation about how and why people listen to music, which is fascinating to me. But people's attention span is 15 seconds or less if you're scrolling through TikTok. Like I see people on the bus scrolling through TikTok, and it's literally just like, I don't even know how they're processing information as quickly as they are to find the thing that they want to watch. And that reflects how people listen to music.
Yeah, and there's now sound signifiers that people pick up and they go, and I see this with playlisters. So playlisting now, the great thing about independent playlisters or user-generated playlisters, UGPs as we like to call them, is that they're usually generally open for new artists, people that no one has ever heard before. Mm-hmm. The bad thing is they want things exactly that basically sound like everything else on that playlist. So when people listen to it, they're never taken out of that mood. They're never taken out of that place, because the second they are, if somebody skips, there's a good chance they're skipping not just off that song, but off that playlist.
Right.
And now AI playlisting is coming in. You're going to be able to use keywords to build your own playlist. I want it to sound like this band that I would listen to at a parking lot of my high school when I'm visiting my hometown. Like, who knows how detailed? But the beta is already out in Spotify, and so now who you're associated with, what adjectives have been used about you online, and just what AI is pulling about your sound. These things all matter. And I think as an artist, the more information you're giving it, then that can figure it out, and you don't have to obsess over that all the time.
Right.
My thing that I hate about this era is my favorite artists are usually like idiosyncratic. They're them.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily sound like this style of music. I was never a this style of music guy.
Yeah.
This is this style of music era.
Yeah.
When you're a little bit strange, weird, you got to really build in other ways. And that's when it comes down to fan building again.
Right.
You have enough people that are on your side. And I've seen this before where artists only have, 10,000 streams on a song on average on Spotify. And another artist, it has 1 million.
Yeah.
But the one artist can sell out a 200, 300 cap room in Toronto, and the other artist will play it 5 people because no one knows who they are.
Yeah. The numbers don't always translate.
Everybody wants it to be a numbers game, and I was just reading about the commodification of and gaming of fandom, right?
Right.
And how like fans now are looking just about what artists they can prove that they should be a fan of Billie Eilish or Taylor Swift or whoever because their numbers are the best.
Yeah.
How do we get Sabrina Carpenter from being the 12th ranked artist on Spotify to the 11th past Sia? Well, we attack Sia, right? Like this is the
mob mentality.
This kind of weird, that's the extreme level of this. But it is being gamified. The artist has never been able to help the fans have never been able to help artists to this level in any other point in history, other than maybe if you had a Patreon fan and you're Mozart or, going back to different levels. But in fans in general, the average person listening to music has a lot of power in terms of who's going to listen to music long term.
Yeah, I feel like in this modern day of music consumption, it kind of feels like, I'm a child of the late 90s, early 2000s, and it feels like around the cusp of the millennium, labels had a lot of control and pull as to what you listened to, what showed up on MTV or Much Music if you're a Canadian, or on the radio, and kind of the people in charge seem to be tailoring what you absorbed, unless you were an avid music fan that went out of your way to find alternative music. If you were like a crate digger, or if you're, going to local shows, it really feels like labels and the people in charge were telling you what to listen to. Most people were fans of the things that were on the radio and on TV. And it feels like as the internet started to be the dominant way that we absorb music, I start to notice these trends where things go viral for reasons X, Y, and Z. Doesn't matter what they are. But they happen to go viral. And suddenly all the suits that work at the big labels or work for, money-making music industry people essentially start to be like, oh, this is really popular right now. How can we commodify this? How can we make money off of this? And it seems like the people who are listening to the music and making things go trendy are setting the tone for how the industry is trying to market things. That being said, I feel like that's also been gamified in a way of trying to, and maybe you can confirm or deny this, but trying to make things go viral to make it seem organic, but actually behind everything, there's a push.
Yeah, I think that stuff still works, and you still see those songs happen. Those artists kind of like have these viral moments, and all of a sudden they're like a really big artist.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it just gets them a lot of exposure, and that dissipates into kind of nothing because there's not much built behind it.
Right.
And the way I approach marketing now is you're trying to build habits and routines that the artist is actually interested in doing. So long-term, people know what to kind of expect and what they like about you.
Yeah.
And that can build long-term fans, not just somebody that knows. It was like I was at this Montel Fish show. I don't know if you know Montel Fish. He's
Not
this
familiar.
great R&B singer. It was the most bizarre experience of my life being at the Danforth and having these insanely rabid, screaming young females, like screaming like it's the Beatles on Ed Sullivan.
Yeah.
For the whole time I was there, I never experienced, I've been to like 1,000+ shows. I've never seen anything like that. The other thing I'd never seen is they played Steve Lacy's Bad Habit It's a big TikTok song.
Right.
They played it in the room. The section that's on TikTok, the whole room started singing, started filming themselves with ring lights on their phone, just like everyone was programmed. All of a sudden, it was like, turn phone on, put ring lights, sing. And everyone in the room did it. And I was like, am I seeing this right? Like, what is happening here?
That's incredible.
But it was the first time I'd ever felt old at a show, like really old. It's definitely like a different generation.
For sure.
Of how they're reacting to things. But there's all these videos of TikTok people, like Steve Lacy's got a real career, but a lot of people don't, where you'll see videos of TikTok songs. People go to the show, that 15-second thing goes, they sing, and then the whole audience is dead after that.
This is a very hyper specific version of maybe something that's been going on in the music industry for a long time of, pushing certain artists and pushing certain singles. And, there's a notorious kind of feeling with radio back in the day of just like, oh, you hear a song on the radio, you buy the album, and the only good song on there is the one that you heard on the radio. So,
right.
And this seems like a very just condensed version of that type of thing that it feels like it's existed forever. But it kind of makes me curious about the artists out there that really try and create viral moments to try and have this skyrocket, climb to the top, versus the other artists that have that very slow, gradual climb, that are maybe creating far more foundation for their band or their music career than the other ones that are just skipping from level 1 to level 10.
Yeah, and that's the way I work.
Yeah.
Maybe once a year or once every few years, I'm going to have one of those artists that goes like this. All of a sudden, you go, "Oh, what happened here?" Most of the time, it's going to be that for everyone. Oh, and maybe it'll look like it's gone like this to people that haven't been paying attention.
Yeah.
But it's usually like, I equate building a house. You get your foundation in, and how quickly the house goes up depends on all these other factors. But the strategy for me, back to the point, is like, okay, you got an album. Well, maybe every 6 weeks you release those singles. You pepper out those singles, and you find the things that are going to work. You experiment. And I think socials, for most people, if you're truly using your songs and your album as promotional material, if you're not building social short form content to go with that, you're just losing a whole area that people pay attention to when they're finding music.
Right.
So look at what your friends are doing. Talk to my team. We give educational updates every week. Basically like, this is what they're looking for, sort of deal.
Right.
When we work in label services, I have calls every week. And a lot of the call is going to be like, here are your options. These are the things that are happening. These are what we're hearing from all these companies. And then find the things that work for you. You're often going to be doing stuff that is outside of your comfort zone, though.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I didn't get into music to become a social media influencer, and I don't think most artists did.
Yeah.
There are some, of course, that work backwards, but I think for the majority, they wanted to be musicians.
Yeah.
So you have to think about the things that are going to work for you. Is it going to be live performance? That's the easiest thing. Well, everybody likes that. You just sitting there playing your song, easy, done. Maybe there's something you can do. If you feel awkward with that, well, maybe that's not. Maybe you can talk about your song. Maybe you can just like film random moments that's happening. Maybe you get into memifying your band.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't. But until you do this, you don't really know what you're going to like most of the time, because most artists have never participated in that world.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's part of it. And it's finding the things, I think, in that not only do you not hate, but you probably like.
Yeah.
And then finding the stuff that you hate and exercising it.
Yeah.
Just like,
Get rid of it.
And if it's all social media, you're in trouble. It's just like the wrong era. It's just like trying to get a record recorded in 1966. It was going to be really hard.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're in 1966. Someone's going to have to really like you, and you're going to have to play 10,000 hours in Germany, and probably nothing will happen to your band ever again.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing from you is that despite what people may want to do or feel comfortable doing, there is somewhat of a framework. Whether you like it or not, the industry operates in a certain way that if you want to play the game, so to speak, you got to play the game. But there also is a way to find your version of playing the game, a way that reflects your band or your kind of, your creative output in an honest way.
And if you're rolling out songs, you got songs, you got stuff to talk about. That's why I like rolling out a lot of songs too. Artists don't have a problem telling people, usually to some degree, that they have new music out that they love.
They love saying that.
Sometimes.
How often do you see a band play a show and be like, we're going to play a new song? And everybody's like, you sure you want to do that? Sorry, go on.
All right, Pearl Jam. Everybody wants to hear this record for sure. I think there's a way of doing things now that you'll probably find that you enjoy if you're an artist.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's probably a lot of things you're not going to like. But every era had that.
Yeah.
People probably didn't like going into the radio stations and playing shitty things, or going into the record label and having to do a performance in the boardroom or whatever.
Yeah.
All that stuff sucks.
Yeah.
Most things that you have to do as an artist suck.
Anything that could be classified as work, 90% of it sucks.
Yeah, it's like any other job. You have to do some shitty things usually to do the things that you love. And hopefully you get to have something that you love.
Yeah.
And a musician, there's a lot of benefits of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, our strategy is all built around that. It's finding those things, but it's also not like day one figuring that out.
Yeah.
I got an email right now, and it's somebody with this idea, and we haven't even started, and it's basically like the rollout of the year. And it's a question that probably in a year and a half we're going to know.
Yeah.
And that's fine to be thinking about these things, but part of it is like, so this is what we need now. You need to try these things. You find out what works, and you kind of go down there and down the line of options,
Mm-hmm.
and you figure out what actually appeals to people. But you also don't know. It's like YouTubers talking about their strategy, and it's like, yeah, if you do it for like 2 years, you'll find out if anybody cares about your podcast.
Straight up. And I feel like people learn that the hard way, and I think a lot of people are scared to figure out the truth of whether what they're doing is working or not. But I'm a firm believer of that 10,000 hour rule of just like, you need to, if you really want to perfect your craft and figure out how to do it as like your thing, you got to put in the time, you got to put in the work. There's really no way around it. And much to what we were saying before, if you skip from level 1 to level 10, you're going to go back to level 1 quite quickly.
Or you're stuck in this world that you never wanted to be in, where you're known as like a social media influencer musician instead of a musician, and you can't get people to take you seriously in that sort of way. And then maybe you aren't doing the thing that you wanted to do. Just being a musician can sometimes be worse than the other option.
Yeah.
I think you don't have to be afraid to, have the other job, to work at this for a long time, to get where you want to go. So that's the other part of this. You have to stay true to yourself while doing things you probably don't want to do, while having to spend way more time than most of us are ready to do, because how do you not get beaten down by this?
Yeah. It's a cutthroat industry in its nature.
We try not to we give maybe a monthly update of where numbers are at and growth is at, but we downplay that. And most of that's for the team. So they can go back, if I have a radio promoter that's going to radio, for commercial radio, well, if I can show all this growth, then yeah, he's going to be able to maybe get you charting. But as the artist, I think as long as, over years you're seeing growth, then it's fine.
Right.
It's hard to think that way. It's really hard to think that way, especially in our culture where I'm telling you to post things constantly. How do you not react to what just went up there? I think that the artists that can do that have a major advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really a skill that needs to be sharpened and only can be sharpened by doing it. And sometimes there's a little result in swallowing your pride, and maybe not swallowing your pride, but definitely stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something a little more.
We're kind of living in a cringe era, right?
Yeah.
But we're in music, so there's almost every musician has like catatonic youth moment probably in their back catalog, right?
I have a few myself.
Right? Where you'd be like, oh, I hope this never really gets any traction on the internet, because that was an embarrassing moment. Or that was you look back at a record and you go, that song, how the hell did we include that song on the record? I often find that's a song that somebody in the industry has also told an artist is going to be like their big single or something.
It didn't
like you
pan
get
out.
that out. Yeah, like so-and-so heard that song once and we were about to scrap it, and they said, you know what, I think it's your hit. And then they get like, oh, maybe it is our hit. Maybe this is the thing. And then it ends up making the record.
Yeah. A lot of what we're talking about, I feel like, definitely can be applied to a wide range of artists, but I have a feeling that a lot of people listening to this or having interest in this are maybe bands that aren't at the LP cycle portion of their
like
career.
Journey. They've finished releasing albums, right? Or Jethro Tull. That's the artist you're talking about right now?
Talking about Jethro Tull specifically. Ian, if you're listening, no, just like think of your average local band. They played a lot of shows. They have, a lot of friends come out to their shows, even maybe people who are just, kind of accumulated as fans because they opened for Gob one time or whatever the band is. And, maybe they've had a couple studio experiences and they didn't quite put out the record that they wanted to, or didn't put out the song that they wanted to. But suddenly they're like, okay, we've been a band for 3 years. We got 4 songs. We love them and we want to go record them, or maybe even more songs. What is the case for budget for recording all your songs and putting this thing out as a package LP, or just find your best one, do that one, release it, play shows in support of it, and just rinse, repeat the single cycle? In this modern age, is there a advantage?
So I think the disadvantage to that is that the second you release that song, the next song needs to kind of be in the hopper.
Right.
And people fall behind. So a stockpile and consistency are the words that I overuse all the time. You want a stockpile of just not songs, but social media content and live footage and anything you can keep going, because no one can keep up most of the time. So if you go in, you record one song, that song does well, the thing you need is another song.
Right.
And by the time you get that other song recorded, produced, figured out, usually you're behind again.
Yeah. It's like links in a chain. You need to follow one thing with another thing.
So finding like a balance there, often recording multiple songs is cheaper too.
Mm-hmm.
You can block out, be more efficient.
You're also going to get, not to get too audio nerd about it, consistent sound.
That's true. Like, and you can, I call it eras, right? People are working in eras. Depends on your situation. Like a lot of people that I'm working with now, they record all their stuff themselves and maybe send it to somebody to mix.
Yeah.
So their process is different. Yeah, maybe they can work song by song because they're the person that is just like going in, producing their own song, sending it to somebody to mix, or just sending it to somebody in master. And, this is not what the producer wants to hear, but
totally fine. I'm open to anything.
Yeah, but and also you do this sometimes. I know you take people's recordings and mix them and elevate them, and I think that's why mixing is in the audio world one of the largest growing areas, because that step up to making stuff sound that professional is still really, really difficult to get.
Yeah,
but 10 years ago, almost nobody that I was working with, it was like their own recording, completely done by themselves. Now, is it 50, 60%, and then some other process afterwards?
Yeah.
It's probably getting close to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that way you can kind of keep up with it. You're still going to fall behind. And this process is built to eventually you're going to fall behind.
Yeah.
But if you can get a run, you can get consistency, and then all of these, the evil algorithms online, they start to learn what you're about.
Right.
And if you do that enough, and then you take a small break, there's a foundation that's not going to completely disappear. Now, you can't take the year or two off like before and come back. A CEO will, we released our record.
Yeah.
Very few artists can do that. And you see even large artists, they're peppering in, singles everywhere they can, B-sides, acoustic tracks, remixes, whatever, to keep some energy going, because part of it is just like name keeps appearing, people eventually become curious.
Yeah.
All of the material has to be good too.
Mm-hmm.
This is the other side. Like, it's not just a quantity game, it's a quality game as well. And that's why I like still EPs, LPs, you put a lot of work, this is your era. Why not showcase all of these songs that you worked so hard?
Yeah.
And if they're not good enough, they probably shouldn't have made the album.
It's nice having someone like you on board to tell them this ain't good enough.
and to be honest, I don't get that involved in the creative side. If I think the artist is good, I'm not going to split hairs.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the person on the creative side making those decisions. tend to think if we're working label services, yeah, I'm going to have a voice in what songs and what singles.
Mm-hmm.
But when I work PR, if I'm in on the artist, if I like the artist, they're the creative directors as well.
Yeah.
Deciding how they want to showcase to people. And this is the other thing about like albums now is you'll have people and they're like, this is the one. And the band goes, you know what? I know this isn't a single, but I just like this one to come out.
Yeah.
And that one ends up being the song. Because as much as we're talking about things having to fit format now, the format has broken down into all of these niches.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a radio single to be your biggest song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the way in which people absorb it it's very individualized. It's not like these things have to be packaged for mass groups of people to absorb all at the same time. Now you have specific algorithms putting things on your phone, being like, listen to this. Suddenly, weird music is becoming popular. I don't know if you listen to Brat, but that's a weird record that is hugely popular. And I feel like those things, for years and years and years, you really had to play it safe as to what can be the thing in the forefront. Now I just feel like it's open playing field.
And I think also Brad is a good example of basically a style of music that started 10 years ago and built to this moment that you could have an album that popular with hyperpop, right?
Yeah.
Like the PC music people, that was a niche, a small amount of people that there was no way they could have made that a hit. But it just starts percolating. The niche gets big enough and you can have this kind of monster success.
Yeah, I always felt like, I'm sure if you did it.
Everybody wanted you and me, to be talking about Brat today.
It's a great record.
Yeah.
I bought my partner the deluxe version on vinyl. It's awesome. Very Brat household. But I feel like in my brain, and I've kind of had this theory, and I feel like there is proof of it. But I feel like a lot of bands across a lot of genres and a lot of eras really want to do the thing that is popular right now in the effort that you're going to ride the wave and suddenly your career is going to explode and this and that. And sometimes it works. There's always exceptions to the rule, as we talked about. The way I've perceived it is the opposite. I feel like the best bands are the ones that are unapologetically themselves, for better or for worse. And they just stick to it forever, as long as they can, because eventually, if you're doing something that is super not cool right now, time moves on and culture changes.
Yep.
And culture is very much cyclical. And even though the thing you're doing right now may be super lame to a few people, in 10 years, the thing that you've been crafting and perfecting for 10 years might be the thing that is suddenly huge. And a perfect band that comes to mind is a band like Turnstile, where I feel like if you listen to Glow On versus, Step to Rhythm, musically, it just feels like a very refined version of what they've been doing for 10 years. But when that band started, I feel like they had such a huge backlash of just like, oh, this band is awful. And everybody hated that band when they started, but they just kept going. They kept going. And suddenly, boom, their sharpness and the culture met and it just exploded. It's like Nirvana in 91. Like it just, in my brain has always been just like the advocacy for just like staying true to what you do.
There's no other really reason to do it.
Yeah.
We get 150,000 songs roughly a day uploaded. I think it's actually higher now.
Just like across
platforms every day, 150,000 songs uploaded.
That's wild.
So unless you're actually putting out that authentic, honest voice, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
That's my feeling on this. Other people just want to like get in there, and you're right. Some people gamify it and they figure out what's going on in the zeitgeist at that moment. But the zeitgeist moves like incredibly fast now.
Yeah.
By the time you probably are on it, it's gonna be too late.
Yeah.
Where if you stick to what you're doing, I totally believe that it will catch up. Now, how people are disseminating their music, how are they marketing their music, the things that I pay attention to. Yeah, I think usually you have to kind of play ball to some degree there. Like Turnstile is another artist that I think any rock band that mentions them and how they want to do it, I'm like, well, be Turnstile then.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's the Frank Ocean theory all over again.
Like that's the hardcore and punk scenes version of Frank Ocean, where they played so much to themselves and were the right band at the right time. Like there's luck involved there too with timing and they're great. Like you're a band like that and you actually have this voice that nobody else quite has. Mm-hmm. It can change things. But I think for most people, the thing you should look out there and go is I'm releasing this music. This is how I want to present myself visually. And this is what I want us to represent. And now finding those pockets on the internet and how that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
So for some people, when I'm working with them, they're going to be like playlist bands that I work with, and they're going to get a lot of playlisting.
Yeah.
There's others that's not going to be their thing at all. Like they're going to be too outside the box, too weird. That's not going to be really their lane. But yeah, they can find maybe that niche online in like Instagram Reels or TikTok or something like that. There's others that are just going to hit the pavement still, play local shows, be part of a scene, and that's going to be their way in.
Yeah.
Usually it's a combination of a bunch of these things that happen.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of find the ones that are right for you and market yourself around your music around that instead of making your music fit those things. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, and it feels like it's kind of a little bit of trial and error of just like, what
experiment.
Yeah.
And always experiment, because the second you get the thing that works, it will eventually stop working.
Yeah.
We started talking about MySpace. If I was just like stubborn and be like, you know what? I like MySpace. Tom and me were close and I'm going to keep doing MySpace and sending people funny messages and then they follow me. Guess what? I'm not talking to you today.
You're talking to me on MySpace.
Yeah, I'm still talking to MySpace. Exactly. And so you have to be able to go, yeah, the thing that worked for me before didn't work for me, but something might work for you for years and years and years, and don't be afraid to do that either.
It's just kind of being like, smart and observing your surroundings.
You're malleable to the situation.
Yeah.
You're not just assuming that you can do the same thing you've done over and over and over again, and that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And you can also assume that you can do things only the way you want to do things, or the way you're comfortable to get your music out there if you're a new artist.
Yeah.
But you can do a lot of them your way.
Yeah, you can do a lot of them yourself as well, which kind of begs a question, and this can open up a can of worms. And I understand that our time is getting up there, but in the year 2025, what is the purpose of a label? And I know that is half of what you do.
Yep.
If you're that local band playing shows that just put out their first EP and it's getting some traction and you're working on your second, what's the case for seeking a label to put it out versus just making a CD Baby account and just uploading it to forever, and you pay $60 once, and suddenly it's on everybody's phone?
Yeah. So I think there's a few factors here. Most labels don't want anything to do with artists early stages until they have that foundation and they can actually already be bringing in revenue. And I think that's why label services for us is like easily the fastest growing area of my business, is because how complex it is. Yeah, you can get your music up on CD Baby, put it in the system, but if you don't do all the right things in terms of when you're uploading, how you're putting that metadata in, how you're putting your pitch in, how you're getting all that information that's going to live there also forever, you'll be one of those, artists that they can ignore algorithmically. So that's one area. And having a distributor that can work on your behalf directly to the DSPs, giving them the right information so their pitch can be as strong, as impactful as possible, that helps too.
Right.
They can also not help you. They can also just not prioritize you. Most distributors send a list of like, these are our most important releases, and you could be at the bottom. If you're at the bottom, you're not getting editorial playlisting.
Right.
But I think the organization, the tools they can have in terms of, say up merch and setting up actual physical things for you to sell in a way that connects with people, that can be helpful. The money a label can give you can definitely still be helpful, because advertising is so important now in terms of going up the ladder. Well, you need money for that. And getting access to grants and things of that nature can, make that easier. It's hard now in this era with no money to make the same impact that 10 years ago you made.
Right.
Money is coming to play more than it did in the main blog era that I kind of grew out of.
Right.
Bands were just like taking off with no budgets. Like the amount that I charged, which was, very, very little back in the day. And it's still pretty affordable.
Pretty affordable if you want to reach out to Adam Bentley for his services.
But that was always because I wanted to work with independent artists.
Mhm.
And they would just give me a link. Here's a little blurb about the song, whatever. And a lot of the times they would just disappear. And some of them had like major success pretty quickly with them not doing anything. No socials, not spending almost any money on any aspect of it. Now with, ads, with even like the cost of doing like local tours now compared to what it used to be has skyrocketed. So I think having it, that's where labels can come into play and help on that side. But I think every band needs to figure out the things they can do themselves, or every artist, things they're good at, and then hopefully build out their team for the things they're not good at.
Yeah.
That was me. I hated booking shows. Least favorite thing. I was bad at it. But I was
high stress. I hated booking shows too. It was awful.
But I know guys that love booking shows, right? And then they were able to do that part, but they could never do PR online.
Mm-hmm.
They hated that part. But for me, I read album reviews since I was 13 years old. And since you're filming this, I'm not 13 years old anymore.
He's 14.
Yeah. It's Doogie Howser sort of situation over here.
Yeah.
Even that reference.
That should tell you all you need to know.
Like, yeah. You at least get the reference?
I do. Well, I watch How I Met Your Mother, so.
And they reference that on How I Met Your Mother. I know he was Doogie Howser. Okay.
That was a joke.
I didn't know. Like, is there a lot of Doogie references on How I Met Your Mother?
No.
Okay, it's too bad.
I was going to say I'm going to edit it out, but I'm actually going to elongate this conversation about How I Met Your Mother and change the whole framework of the podcast. Well, you talk about playing shows, and this might be one of the last things we talk about before we wrap up. For a smaller band that does play lots of local shows.
You had to clear your throat. It was like, this is going to get deep.
I've been avoiding my water bottle because I don't know how it actually, I don't have anybody behind the camera except for a piano, so I don't know how I look. For those bands who play lots of local shows and, they get booked. If you're in the Ontario area, you're from Hamilton, you're getting booked in Guelph, and you're getting booked in Kitchener, you're getting booked in Barrie. If you're
doing a festival in Puss Lynch.
Yeah, exactly. Why go on tour when the internet is so big and vast in how you can get your reach out just simply online? What is the case for still going out and playing shows and getting in a van and just doing it?
So, as I just mentioned, this is not my area of expertise, but I see how this area does add to that next level of fan building.
Right.
And basically everything we've been kind of talking about and I've been rambling about is to get fans. When you're in a room with a person and you're 20 feet away, 50 feet away, 100 feet away, whatever that is, there's a different connection than that doesn't happen online. Now, that online connection can be as deep now. That's been proven with certain people, and certain people, that's the way they want to connect. They never wanted to go to shows. It's an audience that maybe was underdeveloped over the years.
For sure.
The people that go to shows and like going to shows, if they don't see you, they often don't become a fan of you.
Right.
To the level that we want them to become a fan. Is there as much necessity? No. Like, there can be more Jandiks out there.
Right. There's no touring is the make or break of the success of your band anymore.
But speaking there isn't the same level of mystery either.
Right.
Boards of Canada, and one of my all-time favorite artists. Nobody knows who those guys are or what's going on. Like, almost impossible.
Yeah.
Right? And all of these components, all of these layers of real personal connection, I think are what creates a fan. And the live setting, I think, is a huge one. I think the mistake artists often make is putting much of their resources into that that they ignore all the other areas.
Right.
And if you're doing that and all your energy is going towards playing a show in, I'm trying to think of a city that won't be offended, Rockton.
People at Rockton, please do not tune out.
Yeah. But this is our core audience. But if you're spending all the time going to a local show and doing that and those sort of things, and maybe the show's not even a great fit for you, but you want to hit as many areas as you can, maybe that's not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I do think if you're wanting to be a live performer, you need to play live a lot and in shitty situations to begin with.
Yeah, get your stage legs. That's a real learning opportunity for any artist.
I like how I'm contradicting myself over and over again on this. But the reason I'm doing that is because it is so complex now.
And it's so individual based on the artists themselves and who they are and what their whole purpose of doing music is.
Totally. If you don't care about this being a career, and I don't think you need to as an artist.
No.
I think you need to create art. I think that's the most important factor of this. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe like just do the thing that you love the most. And if it's sitting there and making YouTube videos, maybe that's the thing you do.
Yeah.
If it's going out and playing local halls, which I know are not as much of a thing, but I wish were more of a thing right now, do that. If live's the only thing you care about live. I remember jamming with a bunch of local Hamilton guys one time, and I'm not much of a jammer, so this is like kind of a one time only. But the jam went fairly well, and then someone said, "Well, what if, we wanted to play a live show?" And in the room, you had like someone being like, "No, I will never do a live show. Actually, this is the only reason I'm doing this. I want to do a live show." To somebody else saying, "No, I would love to record this," to another person saying, "If we record this, I'm stopping right now." It was like, what is going on in this room?
Everybody was in their own corners of the boxing ring.
Yeah. Everybody liked this kind of like feeling good about this, but to do it again meant there had to be decisions, and there was never going to be decisions there. And I think that's pretty common. So if you find a group of people and you're all in it for the same reason, follow that reason. But know the parameters you have to follow to make it work.
Yeah, for sure. I think, and this is something that we talked about with Luke, is just like the rarity of finding your person, your collaborative partner, or finding one is a rarity in and of itself. Let alone finding 2 or 3 or 4 other people that you can be in a band with, in which you're all on the same wavelength. Like that in and of itself is like,
I was in a 7-piece band for a decade. I've played music with Jordan Mitchell now for 20 years. It was pretty clear early on that we just were on the same wavelength. It doesn't mean that things are off. Always like going to be like 100% on the same wavelength. Yeah. That's not collaboration either. But we had a lot of the same goals, and that made a difference in the music we were making. Where even though creatively some of the other band members, we had the same musical goals, we didn't have some of the other goals, and that threw the music goals off. And like collaboration is a difficult one.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where I've hit my own roadblocks. And there's a reason I record music rather than play in bands. There's a lot of people dealing.
You're a tyrant.
Total tyrant. If you ever work with me, you know that I am slamming the hammer down constantly. If there's anybody listening that is in a band in which all of you are on the same wavelength, you have something so special that please don't give that up, or don't let that go to waste, because it's such a rarity. I really think that being active in your pursuit of anything you do is such a crucial thing. And if you put even 10% of effort versus the other people who are putting 1% or 2% or 0%, you're such a cut above, and it can really go a long way. And we talked about this on another episode with Davis about making a record. Is if you're trying to learn an instrument, you just set aside 20 minutes a day to learn your instrument, you're automatically above like the 70% of people who are doing that thing. And I feel like you can just apply that to anything. It's just like, you have to be active about it. And if you want to be passive, that's totally cool, but readjust your expectations of where that's going to go.
Yeah, I think that's kept me in business. I embrace the chaos
Mhm.
of the music industry and how things are changing so fast. Like I get on the phone and I get into the nitty-gritty details of what it is to release music now
Yeah.
with somebody who hasn't done it in a while. And I tell them, and this is real, like there's more changes in a couple years now than the first 10 years I did it.
Right.
That's how fast it's moving.
Yeah.
I've had to make that the fun part. We have a call. We had a call today, team call. Everybody gets on this call. We just talk about new things.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go and say, okay, well, maybe research this now. Maybe we do this one. If we didn't have that call, we just let things happen, we're not going to be good at our jobs.
Yeah.
A band does have to think of it, or an artist has to think of it the exact same way, because if you're not aware of what's going on to a degree, and you can't be as deep as maybe the person that's recording you, or the PR person, or the booking agent, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have an understanding of this so you can make the right decisions. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to still be there always.
Yeah.
You're the center of this thing. Most of the time, people come and go outside of that, whether it's the industry people recording you, people helping you out in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
If you have no clue, it's hard to know which path to take. And that's why we started sending educational best practice docs to people.
Yeah.
I didn't do that until 2021. It was 12 years in. And I went, it's so fast now. If these people don't understand a bunch of these facts, by the time they come to us again, nothing improves.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do this for them anymore.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. They're like, well, can I hire someone to do my socials? Not really.
Well, it's like much like building a house before. It's just like, hey, build me a house. Cool. What piece of land do you want me to build it on? Well, I don't have that yet. I haven't figured that out. Like, okay, well, let me know when you do. Like, there is a foundational part to everything that we do in music. And, I'm a firm believer that doing things organically is the best way to do it. Cause, some of my favorite bands, band like Sloan is a great example.
Yeah.
It's like, they had a little bit of a commercial bump in the 90s, but they've been going strong for 30 years and they're making a lovely living doing exactly what they want to do. And it's because they did it in
and
a
it almost blew up
way.
in day one for them.
Yeah.
And they went back to Halifax and figured it out on their own terms. And yeah, Sloan's a great success story.
Yeah. And I always see them in my head as like all you could ever want out of being in a band. You know what I mean? Of just like, you have a career playing music and doing it exactly the way you want to do it. What more could you ask for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's one thing that you can just say to a person who's struggling to figure out what to do? They have a song ready, mixed, mastered, ready to go, but they just don't know what to do with it.
So build the other assets ahead of time.
Okay.
So make sure you have art. Make sure you have a story around that song. Make sure you have press photos ready for that. Make sure you have social media content, maybe not completely done to a full degree, but I like an 80-20 rule. 80% in advance, 20% build afterwards.
Right.
If you can do all of those things, you're ready to put something out and to keep moving, as long as you have other songs.
Right.
So if that's your only song, we were talking about this earlier, but maybe don't put that song out yet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe get a couple more songs. Maybe so you can look at the next 6 months, I can have things going on.
Mm-hmm.
And is that releasing every 6 weeks, every 4, every 12? What's comfortable for you? How much time do you need to have your own energy to build stuff you're proud of?
Mm-hmm.
Build music you're proud of, but also the other content that people will think represent you. Your art will represent you.
Yeah.
Your photos will represent you. But also don't be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Keep moving, put stuff out there. Whatever happens. Just move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Don't get caught. That's what happens all the time. Everybody, instead of just like making adjustments, they pump the brakes and go, okay, let's reassess everything.
Yeah.
Let's figure it all out again.
Mm-hmm.
We screwed up. We're not huge.
Where do you go from there? Once you get that point, like you're kind of dead in the water. So I did 120% agree with you. You just got to trudge forward.
Yeah. Just move forward, grind. And it is grind. And make it an enjoyable grind for you.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it is music. It should be fun. And if you can embrace the fun parts of it while you're doing the work, pretty good job.
Yeah.
Adam, thank you so much for talking. This
No,
was a
I'm
lovely
glad we got to sit
conversation.
down,
I'm
and
glad I got to come visit the studio. It's fantastic.
And I'm sorry I was working out here, and when I was recording a vocal of my own project, and I turned the heater off. It's usually like a sweat box, in here a little bit, and it's the opposite today. So
it is the dead of January. We're in a shed. It's -10.
This is usually
fine.
warmer than my house, though.
Being so tense because it's so cold gives me good posture, and for that, at the very minimum, I thank you.
Yeah, it was very intense. You did feel like Rollins. I was talking to Rollins most of the time. Very kind of like intense, good posture.
Oh yeah, no, I need to look
screaming
vascular.
at me.
This podcast is going to go nowhere if I don't look vascular. Adam, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Okay,
Take care.
See ya.
We ended it like a phone call. And there you have it. That's our episode with Adam Bentley from Auteur Reattach. I love this episode. I think we touched on so many important, crucial things that bands should know when it comes to releasing your music and how to maximize your record or song or whatever it is that you're trying to promote. It is absolutely crucial to know the best practice for the thing that you're creating. I can't thank Adam enough for being part of this episode. I feel like I say this with every guest, but this also applies to Adam. I feel like we could talk for hours and hours longer about this exact topic. So maybe there's a part 2 sometime in the future. And thank you for tuning in to episode number 3. I'm so grateful for every single person who listens and leaves a comment and subscribes to the YouTube channel and follows us on the podcast platform of your choice and follows us on Instagram. And there's so many people out there that this is reaching with every new episode. So if this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in. I put a lot of work into the video side of things, so please subscribe to the Build Your Own Band podcast YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/buildyourownband_podcast. Follow me personally, instagram.com/Vince Solaveri. And I got to plug it one last time. Please go download the demo template, vincesolaveri.com/template. If you're making cool music with it, send it my way. I want to hear it. I want to know how you like using the demo template, things that you might want to see in the future for other versions of it. And when you have a bunch of demos ready and you want to make a record, hit me up. Let me know. I want to make records with people. So that's it. Episode 3 of Build Your Own Band is finished. Tune in for episode 4 whenever episode 4 happens with whoever episode 4 is with. I'm figuring it out. But thank you for tuning in and see you on the next one.